So I asked John this morning, I said, did you sing last week? Because I know people get a habit of singing when I got them talking about the Psalms. I said, did you sing last week? I went, no. I said, thank goodness, because I'm going to have another go this morning, and I wanted you to have a wee break before I had another go. I'm going to sing from the great psalmist called Johnny Cash. So, and I'd like to kind of do it all the way through. You'll know it. Most of you will know it because they're at a certain age. So I'd like to do it. Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much for my mom and me, just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him because he ran in the head, but the meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, he went and named me Sue. Well, they must have thought it was quite a joke, and I got a lot of laughs from a lot of folks, and it seems I had to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red, and some guy would laugh and I'd bust his head, and I tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean, and my face got hard, my wits got keen, and I roamed from town to town to hide my shame. But I made a vow to the moon and stars that I searched the honky-tonks and bars, and I killed that man who gave me that awful name. Well, it was in Gatlinburg in mid-July, and I just hit town and my throat was dry, and I thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. At an old saloon in a street of mud, there at a table dealing stud, sat the same dirty dog that named me Sue. Well, I knew that snake was my own sweet dad from a worn-out picture that my mother had, and I knew the scar on his cheek and his evil eye. He was big and bent and grey and old, and I looked at him and my blood ran cold. And I said, my name is Sue. How do you do? Now you're going to die. Well, I hit him right between the eyes, and he went down to my surprise, and he came up with a knife and he cut off a piece of my ear. But I busted a chair right across his teeth, and we crashed to the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. Well, I tell you, I fought tougher men, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. I heard him laugh, then I heard him cuss, and he went for his gun, and I pulled mine first, and I stood there looking at him, and I saw him smile. He said, son, the world is rough, and if a man's got to make it, he's got to be tough. And I knew that I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I gave you that name, and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and it's that name that's made you strong. He said, now you just fought one hell of a fight, and I know you hate me and you got the right to kill me now. I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in your guts and the spit in your eye, because I'm the son of a gun who named you Sue. Well, I got all choked up and I threw down my gun and I called him Pa and he called me son, and I came away with a different point of view. And I think about him every now and then, and every time I try and every time I win. And if I ever have a son, I'm going to name him Bill or George or anything but Sue. That's my Johnny Cash for you. Sorry, I won't be singing at any karaoke's. But it's funny enough in a strange way that just has that ring about it. It's something that is true and makes a good illustration. I don't know, but it seems like men are very good at writing songs about heartbreak and difficulties and all that kind of stuff. If you look at it, oh, my heart's breaking. Be a man! Oh, I can't, my heart breaking. It just seems to be that we like to talk about it, to a certain extent. And we like to sing about it, certainly. And we like to write poems about it. And we like to write pop songs about it and all that kind of stuff. It just seems that an outpouring of that kind of thing does help. In work, like most of you, I have folders upon folders of paperwork. Like I have to file away now. I look at them every now and again. So I've got the physical stuff and I've got the electronic stuff now. Oh, it's great. We can just file it all that way and pull it out. But we have a document my boss likes to refer to as a live document. This document is live. Oh, I beg to differ. It's a live document in the sense that I have to interact with it every day. It has an impact on my everyday. How I should behave and health and safety and all that kind of stuff. Though it informs my day. I tell you what, since we started talking about the Psalms in particular this last wee while, this document has never been more alive. For me, anyway. This document is a living word. And I believe it. It is dynamic. It is current. It is up to date. It is a unceasing, living, vital Word of God. Word of God given to us, His sons and daughters. Well, has it come down from heaven? Isn't that remarkable? Given to us. And you can hear in this the words of our family from the past. Particularly in these Psalms that we're looking at, or starting to look at, of lament of the people, our family in the past, who have cried out, "Why, God? How long, God?" And when we get to add our voice to that, why, God? Why me? For how long? Really? Must it be? And so we listen. And we surrender to the same conclusions that they came to. That life is difficult. That life is tough. But God is faithful. The same conclusions that they came to. Pain, suffering, difficulties, dislike, unlike, no likes on Facebook. Facebook's no evil. I know I said Facebook's evil weeks ago, but I was using that exaggeration, hyperbole thing. It's just a piece of software. You just have to use it wisely. But pain, suffering, difficulties, dislikes, unlikes, all that kind of stuff. That's no easy, come on now. And it's strange. In this living world, I mean, when you pick it up and you look at it and you think, you know what? We were in the garden for about like a second or a minute. Now we're spending eternity like on the other side, in the difficult stuff. On the side with the thorns and the pain. Seems to be lasting for an eternity. And it doesn't help that we're sinful. And life's a struggle. And God has placed a burden on us. Jeez, what's that all about, God? Come on now. Has placed a burden on us. And He expects us to behave in a certain way, manner, godliness, under this burden that He has placed on us. And it doesn't help that we are weak, and that can create havoc sometimes. But we draw the same conclusions as those who have went before us. Those who speak to us even still. We draw the same conclusions. That God has made a rescue. It's not painless, but I think it is transformative. All the things that we know, all the things that we learn, all the things that we say to each other, all the things that we sing about. About looking past the difficulties to see the promise that was made and to believe it. To believe it. To look past all of that and think, Yeah, life's difficult. It's not without its lament. But hard times seem to reveal something to us. It tells us who we are. Hard times tell us whether we belong to the flesh or we belong to the Spirit. Do we dare believe that we belong to the Spirit? Do we dare believe it? Do we dare believe that we belong to this strange world that the Psalms suggest? Where it can be difficult, where we can feel lost, where we can feel almost done, we feel completely spent, and yet believe that God will make a rescue, that God will see us through, that we can do it, that we can make it, that we can endure in a world that the Psalms have created. A world in which the Spirit triumphs, where our spirit triumphs, and do it with enough light in us that we can still walk humbly, act justly, love mercy. Dare we believe it? We toil, we suffer, and we cry out, just like those before us. The same as those who went before us. And we draw the same conclusions as those who went before us. One way or another, God will make a rescue. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to share this with you this morning. That's basically a lesson. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to share this with you this morning, but so I did my lesson right. There's a wee song that Take That do. Johnny Cash, Take That. One end of the spectrum to the other. Come on. Eclectic or what? So there's a wee song that Take That do. It's called The Garden. And I've always liked it. And I wasn't sure why I kind of liked it. You know what? And then it hit me this morning after reading all this stuff and doing all this stuff. I'm not sure which one of them wrote it. But I think he knows his Bible. Or I'm just seeing it from this biased point of view. I do not know. But I think it works, going through the song. So I'd like to, so I'm saying that to offer you, not just that God makes a rescue, and God sees us through all these difficult times, that He's placed a burden on us and we can look forward to a promise and everything else, the joy that we can bring here. But often use some other words that have been sung that may actually help. So I'll jump in the middle. It's called The Garden. And the wee song is, this is a life we've been given, so open your mind and start living. We can play a part if we only start believing. This is a life we've been given, so open your heart and start loving. We can make a start if we only learn to listen. There's more to it. Get this, man. This is, jeez. There's a stranger on the hill and he is speaking. But Matthew 5. And the tears from every cloud begin to fall. For one moment there, we understood it all. Everyone, can you hear the soldiers coming? Everyone, every man, every woman, we all fall. In the end, we're just miracles of matter, so come on, let me love you. This is a life we've been living, So open your heart and start loving. We can make a start if we only start to live. You and me, we just lay down in the garden. Back to the garden. Life's no easy. And I hope a wee song in the psalm now and again can make it a bit easier. But that's just... God makes a refuge. Thank you.